2001, 2003, and 2009 respectively. Upon completing his PhD, he has been promoted to Senior Lecturer in Department of Electrical Power, Faculty of Electrical Engineering. In 2018, he has been promoted to Associate Professor in the same department. Okay, Doctor, whenever you are ready, you may start your presentation. Thank you.
Dr. Junaidi, maybe your microphone is mute.
Yeah.
Cannot hear, still cannot hear.
How about now? Can you hear my voice?
Okay, clear.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chuan. So for today's talk, actually we have two speakers. Okay, so me, Junaidi, and my colleague, Dr. Shahwin. So in this talk, we're going to share the same slide. Okay, so we're going to, it's like we're going to discuss and it's like chatting, okay, on our experience, okay, on how we survive our PhD. Okay, so this is the slide that I prepared. So basically, it's only consists of about 8 pages slide. Okay, so this slide is designed based on the how to survive your PhD. Okay, so this book is written by Jason Carp. Okay, so basically the process is process of doing PhD is almost similar. Okay, it's almost similar. Basically, you need to do the literature review, and then you may need to do simulation work, lab tests, so on and so forth. So the process is almost similar regardless what is your background or your field. Okay, but it is very important quote from this Jason Carp from this book, from his book, which is How to Survive Your PhD. So he stated that until you experience the PhD process for yourself, it's all theory, not reality. Okay, so the process of PhD, you need to go through the process. It's not just otherwise it's going to be like a theory. Okay, so only a PhD student know the the burden and the how tough it is, okay, to get their PhD. Okay, so before you register as a PhD student in UTM, okay, so here are the choices that you need to do before you do the PhD journey, before you have your own PhD journey, which is I can call that as a pre-PhD journey. Okay, so you can choose your PhD. Okay, you choose to do the PhD. Okay, you are the one that want to do the PhD. Okay, and then you also choose your school or your field, maybe your supervisor. And usually if we talk about choosing school, it is about usually location. Okay, so people students usually the first and foremost characteristics of before they choose to do PhD is the school. Okay, how good is the school? I mean what is the rating of the school, whether it's a 5-star or best in the world, or maybe top 50, top 70, top 100. Okay, so from there, okay, you need to find out what is the opportunity. Okay, whether can you do the PhD under the school, under the supervision of the well-known supervisor that you aim for it. Okay, and then you might need to have you have to do the coursework before you register for PhD. For example, okay, in in normal PhD journey, before you register, you need to settle your, you need to have your degree and maybe your master's degree, okay, before you continue for your PhD journey. Okay, and then of course before you register, you need to check the reputation of the department. Okay, how good is the department? How good is your research group? Okay, and then you also need to know your research interests. Okay, whether you like doing the PhD in electrical engineering, in what field. Okay, for example, in electrical engineering, like what I did in my PhD, I really, my interest is on power electronics. Okay, I love power electronics. I love converter. Why? Because I think that I can contribute more to to the society, more to the UTM if I continue in power electronics. So it doesn't mean that, because that's my interest. Okay, that so every students have their own interests. Okay, and of course you need to choose your supervisor. Okay, and once you and your supervisor has mutual agreements, and then you are actually officially become the PhD students lah. Okay, and then you also need to study your supervisor works ethics. So basically, this supervisor works ethics depends on, usually what you can do in order to study your supervisor works ethics. You can look from their CV, not only from their CV, and but also you have to in in Malay, or in Malay we call it as like you need to study the background of your supervisor, and study the work ethic of your supervisor, because supervisor, they have their own style of work. Okay, some supervisor, they are very focused, like graduated from Japan, some of graduated from from Malaysia, okay, from local university, or maybe from UK. But because these background will influence the style of your supervisors work ethic. Okay, and of course in doing PhD, you need to spend time, and of course you need to have patience. Okay, so maybe Dr. Shahrin want to say something about his pre-PhD journey.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Junaidi, for the introduction and also about the this topic. I just want to add. So I'm agreed with what Dr. Junaidi have said. So actually, this depends, and it's actually it's similar to what happened to me and also to my friends during our PhD journey. Okay, so actually the first thing that you need to know is actually before you proceed with your PhD is actually the objective. Why you pursue your study in PhD? So that is the main purpose. So you need to have a clear mind. What is the purpose of your study? So is it because of you want to gain knowledge, or maybe something else? For us, maybe for me, because it is compulsory for the lecturers to pursue study. Okay, we are forced at that time. So during our time, there is actually a very few PhD holders in UTM. So we are forced to go for PhD. At that time, yeah, we are very scared actually to get the PhD, because most of our previous colleague and so on, so most of them fail in their PhD. Okay, so which is make us very scared. Okay, but after a while we gain momentum and we know what is PhD is, then it's okay. So so the first thing is actually the objective. Okay, and then I'm also agreed with Dr. Junaidi about the supervisor. Okay, so it is actually happened to my friends. Okay, so you need to have a supervisor that is tally, or what you call
mutual agreements lah.
Yeah,
It's
actually,
like you're having your life partner.
yes. And then it need to be tally with your strength. For example, if your strength is more on hardware, so please don't go for the supervisor that is the research is more on the modeling or simulation. So it is contradict. So you can go anywhere because the supervisor usually when we are a student, we are following what the supervisor's orders. So if the supervisor is the expert is in the simulation, so it will actually force you to the simulation research, the modeling research. So there is a waste of what you call your experts. Okay, so please be meaning that you need to match. Okay, so by doing research with the during the through the internet and so on, so read about their research work and so on. Okay, and then the last one that I want to touch is about the universities. Okay, choose the university based on your preference. So that is actually not university have their actually the university have their own strength in certain area. So for example, in UTM, we are strong in electrical engineering, chemical engineering, and so on. So for chemical engineering, so UTM is the best choice. Okay, chemical and electrical. So please choose based on the university strength. Okay, not because of your partners, your spouse. Maybe your spouse, you're married, your spouse is going to this university, then you just follow her or follow him because you want to get close to each other. So please don't do that. Okay, so make sure that you choose university based on the what you call the reputation of the universities. I think that's all, Dr. Junaidi, from my side.
Okay,
So maybe we can go for another point.
Okay, good. So objective, So I think I also have the same objective as Dr. Shawin lah. Basically during our time, which is in 2004, mistaken 2004 until 2008. So that is the duration that my PhD duration. So I graduated from Nottingham University because during that time I have been forced to continue my study other than Malaysia. Okay, so I have to go somewhere else other than Malaysia because I graduated my degree I received it from UTM, my masters in research. Okay, my masters in research and not in my top course. So masters in research also from UTM. Okay, so during my time I have been forced to do PhD. Okay, do PhD other than Malaysia. So I decided to go to Nottingham because Nottingham is still the best in power electronics research. Okay, the best in power electronics in UK. Okay, so that's the reason why I pursue my PhD. And this PhD journey is like it's like it's a marathon process. It's a marathon. It's a very long process. So you have up and down. Okay, have up and down. So because it's a very long time, so more than 3 years. So you are not supposed to expect everything going to be very smooth lah. So seems like seems I think all of the audience here is already registered for PhD study. So whether you like it or not, okay, whether you like it or not, then you need to sorry, who's that? Okay, you need to you need to go through the process, okay, and enjoy the journey. Okay, so first, when you registered as PhD student, you need to think like a PhD student. Okay, I'm sure all of you, or maybe some of you, aware that sometimes people call PhD as permanent head damage. Okay, it's permanent head damage. Why it is called as permanent head damage? Because this PhD journey, okay, this PhD study will affect your life. Okay, and sometimes you will become very, very critical, even when your kids, your 4 years old or 5 years old kids saying something to you, and then you become very critical. Okay, because that's the effect, or we can call that as a side effect of PhD study. Okay, it is really permanent head damage. So you can imagine that. So in my house, for example, okay, my wife also got PhD. Okay, I got PhD in electrical engineering. which is engineering background, and my wife is from social science, okay, from law. So you can imagine, I have no idea what my kids feeling, okay, because both got PhD and both has different background, and then both of us is just, you know, always critical. Okay, always critical when we see something, or when we heard, for example, rumors from WhatsApp and from apa ni, or maybe from internet. So
So yeah, very critical
yeah, because of
because of the PhD.
yeah, because of the process. It's become permanent damage lah. You can call that as permanent damage. Okay, first you need to think big. Okay, you need to think big like a PhD students. Okay, why you need to think big? Because in PhD students, I'm sure all of you aware that in doing PhD, you need to have contribution. Okay, very significant contribution in your field, okay, academic contribution. So you need to think big. You cannot think small. Okay, when we talk about think big, doesn't mean that you need to, like, you know, it's like you need to design a new car or design a new, no, that's not the process. Basically, you need to think big means you need to think in a big picture. Okay, so your target is to get the contribution. So that doesn't mean that your sorry, Manjula, can you see my PowerPoint or not, Manjula? Because I can read the chattings there.
No, we can see, Doctor.
You can see, okay, good. All right,
Okay.
so first, yeah, you need to think big. Okay, you need to know the big picture, not just you know, look very, you know, very small thing. You need to think big. Okay, and next, you need to ask why you need to study this paper, for example. You always ask why I need to spend time from 9 to 5, or maybe for some students from 8 to 4, 8 to 5, 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. to study that paper, because we know that PhD, okay, this PhD study, it's a long process and your time is very crucial. Okay, so you need to always ask why I need to read this paper, why I need to ignore this paper. Okay, and of course you need to understand the literature. At least you need to understand the literature that is close or that is related to your work. And it is very, very, you know, normal to not understand the literature. Okay, because for example, okay, you know that paper is very good paper. For example, from ITP transaction, and we know this is, you know, the highest level of journal, and we know this is very good literature, but it's very hard to understand. Why? Because of sometimes this author, they are not revealing all the importance, you know, all the important facts of the paper. Okay, maybe because of you know, maybe because of probably because of the you know, the length of the paper. Okay, maybe because of they reserve it for another paper. Okay, so that's the reason why, yes, you need to understand, but it is normal not to understand the literature lah. Okay, but even though normal not to understand, you need to find a way to, you know, to understand the literature. Okay, and then be critical. Okay, critical thinking is very, very crucial for PhD students. Okay, and then always reason out why. Okay, find a reason why I need to understand this. For example, why I need to know AI, for example, artificial intelligence. Okay, why the process to know AI, why I need to know, what is the other important knowledge that I need to know behind the AI. So always reason out why. Is it because of AI is going to be your contribution? Okay, and then you must have the thinking skills lah. Okay, you must have the thinking skills, because a PhD is we can say that PhD is the highest degree in the world. Okay, so that's the reason why you need to have a special thinking. Okay, you have to think like a PhD student. All right. Okay.
Okay. Just want to add something. Okay, for a PhD student, so you are actually a scholar. Okay, As a PhD student, meaning that you have already become a scholar because you have already obtained your master degrees, right? So you have actually become a scholar. So as a scholar, so which is in academics, you need to start writing. Okay, to start writing from the day one of your PhD registered. Okay, that is where actually when you actually start writing, meaning that all actually the skills, okay, the writing skills for the scholar publication, you will actually continue to develop until the end of your PhD journey. Okay, so that is the most important part. You need to start writing. Okay, and then also for a scholar, what you need to do, because you are involving with the what you call development of research progress in your area. So you need to always up to date your knowledge on the progress development, so that you are not what you call uh, go behind from the what the people have done. So you need to always what you call make yourself attend to any workshop or conference. Okay, so just to make sure that you have greater information, or maybe update your knowledge on the area that you have that you are going. So this workshop and conference, we normally know there is a payment that you need to pay, but I think for this COVID-19 situation, so most of the workshop and conference are online, and most of the conference are giving what they call a free entry to students and so on. So I think you can grab that opportunity to obtain such what they call knowledge. Okay, and then um, one thing is actually in the lab. Okay, the environment inside the lab. So you have your own lab colleague, right? So maybe under one supervisor, maybe you are with another, maybe one or two or three students under one supervision. Okay, my advice is that please do not always compare you with other friends. Okay, meaning that the progress, for example, the progress, so this one have a very good progress and so on. So please don't compare yourself with the others, because this will be a toxic to you. So this will be a downside, a down point for you. Okay, so uh
Follow the
concentrate,
flow lah.
focus on your research only. Okay, so that is my advice lah. Okay. I think, and then I think one point is about the family. Okay, so actually Dr. Junaidi he actually graduated from overseas from United Kingdom, and I think he has not got any problem regarding the family problems, right? Because you are far away from
Yeah.
Malaysia.
That's the advantage of
Ha,
studying abroad, because
okay.
it's like you're not disconnected from family, but because of the distance. Okay, for example, if your let's say your grandmother or might be your relative is not feeling well, then you just just what else you can do, right? You just can sit
Yeah,
and pray. So
yeah,
yeah, it's a little bit disconnected lah.
yeah.
So that the
And then
advantage,
you can
both
make
have
as
advantage, but
excuse.
yeah,
But in Malaysia, we have some, because I'm from Malaysia actually, and then graduated from Malaysia for my undergrad, master, and also PhD. So actually, with a family, then it's okay. Okay, you need to have your sometime quality time with your family to build up your what I call. Sometimes you need to relax and so on. But sometimes the family will sometimes will distract your focus. Okay, so you need to manage to intelligently or cleverly manage these family matters. Okay.
I think Dr. Sharwin is is basically it's like giving you advice lah. So I think it should be the next should be
Okay.
the next
Yeah.
slide.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
fine.
Okay. Maybe we can go to the next slide.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the piece of advice lah from me and Dr. Sharwin. So you need to know what is expected of PhD students. Okay. So
Mm.
and I think first and foremost is contribution, right? So that will differentiate between a PhD students and master students and undergraduate level students. The expectation is very high because this is the highest degree on earth. Okay? PhD is the highest degree on earth. So they expect you to have a contribution, which is significant contribution to your field. Okay? So when we talk about contribution, it doesn't mean that it's like rocket science, very, very difficult. No, it is something achievable, but a little bit, different, or might be a little bit enhanced compared to other approach or other researchers. So that is, expectation from a PhD students.
Dr. Junaidi, actually the contribution is actually quite crucial, right?
Yeah,
In proceeding the PhD. May I
yeah.
know, or maybe the participant also want to know what is the duration that need to be for a student to get the solid contribution
It's very hard to answer that because of
for
contributions.
for your study. So how long that
From
you are?
my experience, it's like my contribution is, I found my contribution on the day one.
Is it
Okay,
based on
on day one.
is it based
On
on
my
your
experience.
supervisor? Or is it
Yeah,
based on your supervisor?
because the contribution is come from my supervisor. So it depends on your, you can say luck, but it might be not luck at all, because it's like you are forcing to accept his contribution. Okay, so that's what happened to me lah. Because with my time, okay, I want to do something else. I want to study on multi-level inverter because that is my interest during that time. But during first day, I met my supervisor. Okay, he asked me to study this converter. Okay, and found that that converter is very, very weird, very, very strange compared to other converter. Okay, and after a few weeks, I studied it, and I found that I know how the circuits work. Okay, how the circuits work, and I can prove it from simulation work after a few months that the circuit is okay. I mean, it is sufficient to get my PhD. Okay, that's happened to me. Okay, I'm sure that different students or different PhD
Different supervisor.
they have their own journey. So in my case, I found it on the day one. Okay, but the problem is I have to prove it. Okay, the circuit, nobody studied it before. Only the idea is come from my supervisor, but I have to verify the idea from simulation work and experimental work. So that's what happened to me during my time. But
Yeah.
disadvantage of disadvantage of having PhD that way is you become a little bit frustrated. To be honest lah, in my case, of course, I'm happy to get my PhD, right? But I feel a little bit frustrated, and I didn't continue that work. So you can see the consequence lah of having your contribution on the first day from your supervisor. Okay, I stopped. Okay, I stopped after I got my PhD, and that's it. I don't want to study on that area anymore because I don't feel the the excitement, the passion of doing that work, because it is very, very strange circuits, and I still until now I found that only a few people cited my work. So you can see how not interesting is that circuit. Okay, so it influences you. Okay, I'm not saying that I don't like my supervisor. He's a very good supervisor, but I don't like the way I got my contribution.
Okay, Dr. Jenny, maybe based on your experience as a supervisors,
Yep.
Supervising PhD students.
Okay.
So actually, how long that the student should have actually get the contribution?
I can say that the contributions, of course, you need to do the literature review first. Okay, after you do the very thoroughly literature review on your field, then you can find out the research gap. Okay, you can find out what is might be your contribution, and usually the process is around 1 year and above. I say that 1 year and above because of usually during this 6 month literature review, it's like you just reading the paper. Okay, it's like you just the process of reading and try to understand journal paper. Okay, and after a series of maybe a series of try and error or simulation work, and then you can find out what is the gap.
Mm.
And then, yeah, in my opinion, so minimum is 1 year. Okay, minimum is 1 year, but it depends on the student. Some students, they found it in their final year. Okay, the conclusion they found in the final year. Okay, which is on 3rd year. So of course, it will drag their PhD journey lah. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. During my experience, I actually supervised by Prof. Zainal Salam, Professor Dr. Zainal Salam. So actually, he give me a freedom to choose which topic that you want. Okay, so but actually, I am go for what you call the controller. So I go for fuzzy logic actually, for fuzzy logic. So meaning that during the first 2 months, I have already set my mind that I want to go to this route, to this way. Okay, fuzzy logic control, and then after that, the second, third, and fourth. So I am going more towards on this fuzzy logic. Okay, but somehow during the 6 month, the 6 month, I haven't seen any what you call contribution on fuzzy logic. Okay, but until one day, I think maybe my lucky day, I read a paper, and then this paper I think has some contribution. This paper is actually applied. It's actually a control theory, just a control theory of the fuzzy logic. He didn't apply in anywhere. So I'm trying to show this to my supervisor, and my supervisor actually validate. And then he said that, okay, this one, if you apply this one, then this is your PhD. So you need to actually go for your supervisor, maybe take some idea from him or maybe some advice. So because as a supervisor, they know which levels this can be a PhD or not. Okay. So discussion with Prof. Zainal, then he said that this is your PhD. So you applied it, then you can get your PhD. So I think, so it depends on and you're lucky actually. So for my experience, I got my contribution around 8 months from the first registration day. So I go literature review, but actually at the first day I have actually set my mind that I want to go to fuzzy logic. Then you can go deeper and deeper and deeper. Okay. So actually it depends on your supervisor. Some supervisor get their already idea. Like Dr. Junaidi, he has their supervisor is already have the contribution, then he quite safe there. So, but as you said, he are not very happy what he have done because of he cannot explore what he interested more. Okay, so actually depends on the supervisors, and also some supervisor give freedom to the students, and some supervisor require the student to actually go for their project. For example, they have the grants, then he have the one called sub topic there, then he force the student to go to that topic. So need to say you need to actually follow what your supervisor have said. I think that's all. I think.
Okay, I think both of us just talk about contribution in a way. So there are a lot of advice which is taken from this book. Okay, which is very, very important as well. Okay, so basically you need to direct your efforts. So the effort is to get your PhD. Okay, so that is your you need to directing your effort. So of course you need to manage yourself. Okay, you need to be disciplined as PhD students. You need to discipline. Basically, if you work from in my experience lah, not only from my experience, from my experience as a student and as a supervisor, if you manage to discipline yourself, okay, start working during office hour, I think it is sufficient to get your PhD. It might be 3 to 4 years. Okay, so start from, for example, 9 to 5. It just really focus on your PhD. And during weekend or during after 5, yeah, focus about your maybe your family.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, but during office hour, please focus on your PhD. And at the same time, you can being busy, but don't be busybody. Yeah? Being busy means always busy. Make yourself busy with PhD study. with studying maybe the program, the simulator that you need to know, you need to master. Okay, and then been busy with read papers. Okay, start writing if possible in day one. In the day one, although it is very difficult to start writing actually. Okay, and then at the same time helping other students. Do not just really focus on yourself, and then really focus on your PhD and ignore your partner next to you. Okay, you need to help, because when you help your you help other students, help other PhD students at the same time, actually you're helping yourself. You become better. You become a better teacher, or better person, or better, you can be more expert than the student that you help. Okay, and then of course you need to work with your supervisor. Okay, and at the same time you need to follow the advice. Okay, advice from supervisor. And what else? Being resourceful as well. And remember that your priority is to get your PhD. Okay, if possible within 3 years. Okay, 3.5 years. So that is your priority. Okay, so other than that is make sure yourself is visible. Visibility during during
All
visibility is very difficult lah. Okay, during this PKP, during my time, visibility is like during office hour, I always there during office hour. Okay, except that during lunch lah, or maybe during Zuhr and Asar prayer, I will go to the surau. So that's the at the most time I will be visible to my supervisor. Okay, and you need to improve your communication. Both, communication means not only communication in verbal communication, but also in
writing.
Okay, because you need to that's the way you express your idea, and you deliver your message to the readers.
Yeah.
To the
Because as an academician and scholars, you need to have both skills, the communication skill through verbal and communication through writing.
Yeah. And another important advice here: do not burn the bridge. What does it mean with burning bridge? Burning bridge means do not find trouble. Okay, do not quarrel with your friends, or maybe your partner next to you. Do not burning bridge. Do not, if possible, do not what they call it, find trouble with with other people with the same area. Okay, for example, you read the paper and you found that this paper is wrong, for example. Okay, after you do further investigation, you find out that this paper is wrong. Okay, theoretically wrong, the experimentally also not very good. Then do not condemn directly to the author. Please avoid it. Because why? Because sometimes we don't know. Okay, in the future might be the people that you condemn, that you try to burn the bridge, okay, actually is your examiner. Okay, or might be the what they call it, the reviewer for your paper. Okay, so do not burn the bridge. And of course you need to manage your finances lah. Okay, and if possible, get a better scholarship than what you have now. That's a better way lah. Because in my process to get my masters in UTM, I managed to change my scholarship. Okay, I managed to change my scholarship, which is high because of better scholarship means your
Peace of mind.
it's better, right? Better scholarship means better life lah. Okay, so you need to manage your finances, and at the same time, when I did my PhD, I also got scholarship to present paper. Okay,
Allowance lah.
so allowance to present paper. So that is also try to get that scholarship.
Travel grant. You mean travel grant?
Travel grants. For student in UK only lah. No? For Malaysia, I don't. Maybe for Malaysia, you need to ask your supervisor how to get this scholarship.
Oh, sometimes because IEEE society usually they give the students some
That's why. You can get
travel grant. For example, the IAS, IES, Industrial Application Society, and then Industrial Electronic Society. They gave student also PALS, Power Electronic Society. They also
Okay.
give
For
travel
your
grant to the
information,
student.
Dr. Shawin is the EXCO, okay, EXCO Committee for PLS, Malaysia Power Electronic Society. So you can ask him if you want to know more about PLS scholarship. Okay? Alright. Okay, next. What time is now? Oh, nak salah simbang ni.
3:15,
Right.
3:13. Okay, we have a plenty of time.
Alright, so next. Okay, about research work. So from previous slide, we are talking about the advice on doing PhD, right? So this is what, taken from Albert Einstein, state that if we knew what we were doing, it will not be called research, will it? Okay, so it is true lah. It is common if you do your research, you don't know what it is. Okay, but that is the research interest come from, because you want to know more about the problems, right? Okay, so in any fields, of course, the first step is to do the literature review. And in my case, and when I did my PhD, my literature review is like forever. Okay, it's like never ending. So from day one until I do my until I complete
Experiments.
my thesis. So that's my literature review lah. But I don't know about Dr. Shavin. But in normal process, the review you need to finish it in say
Yeah.
around 6 months, or maybe the most is about 9 months.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you need to do the programming. It depends on your works. Okay, maybe programming or simulation. In power electronics, we need to do all process. Okay, start from literature review, simulation. You need to verify our hypothesis with simulation.
Theory.
Then
And then,
we need to match it with experimental work,
which
so
is usually involve programming.
Yeah, and yes, in experimental work is will involve programming. So it's like combine everything in one package to get power electronics PhD, PhD in power electronics. But of course, different field has different way or different style of work, or different style of process. Okay, so in your research, of course, you need to publish. Okay, and for UTM, if I'm not mistaken, you need to publish one scopus, right? Betul tak, Dr. Syawin? Is it correct? One or two now?
One Scopus, I think. One ISI. One ISI.
Really, one
I think
answer
so.
now?
One ISI.
Okay,
Or one
so
Scopus, I don't know. But for the confirm one is actually you need to publish in Electrica.
yes. One scopus and
One
one
Scopus, I think. One Scopus and one Electrica.
journal. So that is the
The
requirement
journals.
for UTM. Not from UTM, but from school. School of
SKE, from our
Electrical.
school, SKE.
Okay, so before your Viva, you have to ensure that you publish at least in one scopus and one electrical journal.
But usually the supervisor will actually force you, or actually will ask you to publish in either Q1 or Q2.
Yeah, that's normal lah. Okay, because if you able to publish in ISI, first you will feel the satisfaction, not
Yes.
only from your supervisor satisfaction, but also from your satisfaction, because you are the main author of the paper.
Especially if you can publish in IEEE transactions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially at the paper section lah. And then
And then if you have a publication that already in Q1 or Q2, so you are safe in terms of Viva. So meaning that during the process of the Viva, you are safe, totally safe, because the paper, the idea that you have already you want to deliver as your thesis have been read and proved by the international scholar. So that is the one
it
advantage.
is already reviewed by experts in that area. So it's like your you can say that like you're half done now your PhD if you already publish in Q1 or Q2. Okay.
So
And
actually, also as a panel, so during the Viva, me as a panel, I will always look at the publication first. Okay, so if the publication got at Q1, Q2, then I think I will go the thesis very relaxed.
yeah, that's true. So
That is
actually,
the advantage.
publication will help you not only getting your PhD, but also help you during your Viva. And you know that the Viva is very torture process. Okay, it's very torture process. When I did my PhD, I spent almost 3.5 hours.
Hmm.
And in my case, because I received it from Nottingham University, okay, and Nottingham University, UK, the university, not university, but the school require me to do the demonstration, okay, PhD with demo. So
Oh,
different from, I think you don't
UTM
have
no, UTM no.
yeah, you don't have it in School of Electrical. I have to do the demo. So means that I have to run the experiment in front of the panels. So that's the reason why it's very torture process. Okay, and next is the rest is just IP. IP is depends lah. So usually intellectual property, I think your supervisor will more interested on IP than student.
Students.
Yeah, but you can if you want. Okay, you can claim for, you can get your IP from your maybe from your circuits or maybe from your
Algorithms.
algorithms and so on and so forth lah. But remember that if you put that as if you claim that as your IP, then you might have trouble in publish your work. So that
Yes, yes.
give and take lah. Okay. And remember that in PhD, in getting your PhD, publication is the most priority, not the IP. So it's up. That's the reason why usually for students, I always advise my students just ignore the IP. Okay, focus on your publication first.
Actually, there's a quite different in terms depends on the country actually. For
Yeah.
example, in UK, they are for example, for PhD students, they are more towards IP. There is no publication.
Yeah,
Okay,
depends
depends on the country and depends on the university and so
In
on.
USA, they prefer IP.
Yeah,
Okay,
in
why? Because
UTM, we are prefer more publications.
yeah.
But there is a contradict, publication and IP. If you want to get the IP, you cannot publish.
have one. You cannot have both.
You cannot publish that because there is IP. You need to get the IP first, then you can publish.
So that's copyright issue lah.
Yeah.
So my advice is for intellectual property, if you think that your work is worth to patents or to file the IP, then you can go for IP and make sure that your work can be commercialized. If it cannot be commercialized, forget about it. Okay.
Dr. Jai, there are some question in the chat room. In the chat,
Really?
maybe you can. What are the first one? What are the benefits of? Okay,
Wow,
due to
banyaknya.
oh.
Oh,
okay,
so
okay.
many questions here.
Is okay. Speak.
Can we start from the first one?
How to choose the best research area for PhD?
How to choose? Are you registered student yet or not?
The best research area. So it depends on your interest. Depends on your interest. For me, it depends on your
best
interest.
research area for PhD. It depends on your interest. If your interest is on power electronics like me, then I will go to power electronics. And again, in power electronics, there are so many branch
area.
Maybe I prefer on, for example, an electric vehicle. So I go for electric vehicle.
And under electric vehicle, there are a lot of another sub area. For
Yes,
example, the
some or sub
control,
area.
the circuit, and so on.
Yeah.
So it depends on your interest.
Depends on your interest. If you think that you cannot work in, you prefer to work in simulation work only, and you don't want power, you don't want lab works, then don't go to power electronics. Okay, my advice is go to something else. For example, power system. Okay, power system, they are really 100% on simulation and programming. So it depends on your interest. Because At the end of the day, you will be the one that suffer in doing your PhD. To be honest, PhD is a very suffering.
Yeah. Unless if you are interested,
If-
then it's
yeah.
okay.
If you ask me whether I want to continue again for my second PhD or third PhD, the answer is absolutely no. Be honest. Okay, one is enough. All right. What else?
Okay. The second, I think we answered the first question. So we go to the next question. Due to had own family problem during the PhD study,
Uh,
or due to had own their
okay.
family, married lah ni. So how to
Allah.
overcome economical issue? Is it what to do part-time job during the study?
Okay, during my time, this is what I did. Okay, I'm not sure whether this can be applied for your circumstance or not. Okay, before I register, okay, I told to my supervisor. Okay, I told him that my scholarship is this value. For example, during that time, I got around £700. Okay, £700, and I will bring my family. I will bring my wife during that time. Okay, so I brought my wife in UK, and I asked him whether it is sufficient or not. I know that the answer should be not lah, because £700 is usually for a married couple need around 1,000 pound. Okay, so what my supervisor did is, because he warned me, because during that time not only I want him, but he also need me, because maybe he look at my CV and I already know how to publish certain paper. I already published in good journal during that time, because my master is also in masters in research as well. Okay, so that's the reason why I think the reason why he accept me to be his students lah. And during that time, he offered me extra £300 per month. Okay, so £300 is about apa during that time you need to times 7, so about 2,000 ringgit Malaysia extra. Okay, so that might be the first thing that you can do lah. Ask your supervisor whether he can help you financially. If he can,
Maybe he can appoint you as a, but I think it's quite problem for Malaysian. For
yeah,
Malaysia, quite problem because you need to only have one income source only, right? You cannot have a multiple income source during the
that's
PhD.
right. During
So
PhD
that is the
study, you
problem.
cannot do part time, except that you can become, like teaching assistants, like one of my PhD students.
Teacher assistant, lab assistant lah, lab.
Akram,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, teaching.
become a teaching assistant, and then he teach
Sometimes he supervise the lab session and
yeah,
so on.
lab session,
Mm.
and apa lagi dia, he become a teacher for
Tuition.
Germany language, because he graduated from Germany. He
Oh.
received his masters from Germany, so he become
Teach
he
the
become
English, the language lah, language
Germany
teacher.
language. So you can do that as well in UTM lah.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think you can seek what it calls students for a job for a student in UTM. I think
Yeah.
are you international student? So Hamida, I don't know. Hamida is a Malaysian or international student? So
Okay.
for
Malaysia, and then you can become a teaching assistant. Okay.
okay.
What are the benefits of pursuing PhD during uncertain times like pandemic? Wow, very hard question. I don't know how to answer this question.
What are the benefit? So it's up to you. What is the objective of you pursuing the PhD?
Okay, if you want to, okay, the first question is why you want to pursue your PhD. That's a very, very good question. Okay, in my case, I have been forced to do it, to be honest. And for my wife case, nobody forced him to do it, but she wants to do it. Okay, she wants to do it because of she feel that doing nothing is like it's like burning her. Okay, so she decided to find a scholarship, and then find a good supervisor, and basically we can say that during her time, basically nobody forced her to do PhD. I also not force her. I never forced my wife to do PhD. She did it because she wanted to get a PhD. And she received her PhD in 2015, and after about 5 years, he got, you know, he became a lecturer in UTM. So you can see the duration. Okay, PhD in 2015 or 2016, if not mistaken. So after 4 years doing nothing at home, just become a
Housewife.
yeah housewife, full-time housewife for about 4 years.
Doctor housewife.
Doctor housewife. Yeah.
I
So
think
basically,
it's actually if you're pursuing PhD, what type of objective actually it
yeah.
will benefit you later. Okay, because when you are PhD, so meaning that
When
your knowledge has been leveled up. So you can go anywhere that you can go in the research area. You can go to R&D
yeah,
departments.
you
You
can
can go
become
become a
a
lecturer,
lecturer if you want.
and or you become anything. This will actually benefit you actually at some time later.
Yeah. So benefit of doing uncertain times like pandemic.
You know,
Well, yeah.
for this time maybe
If
you cannot
you
see
don't
the
have anything
benefit.
to do, for example, you don't have job, then why not just continue your PhD, especially for Malaysian. For Malaysian, this is the advantage for Malaysian for local students. Okay, you can have scholarship, but the scholarship is not much lah. For PhD, if not mistaken, it's about 2,500 per month.
Not much, very little.
With my wife also, she received about that value lah, 2,500 per month.
Okay.
That's sufficient to cover his his study, and of course not enough to cover my family lah. Otherwise, I'll be housewife juga kot.
Yeah, but the benefit you can see after that lah, after maybe
It's a
later.
long-term benefit. You can say that it's
Long term.
long-term benefit.
And then next question, what is the best thing that we can do during this pandemic since we can't
We
enter the
cannot
lab?
enter the lab. Wow. Maybe you can read more then. Okay, read
Okay.
more. And sometimes, to be honest, remember that your job in getting your PhD, you need to get the contribution. And sometimes simulation is, simulation work is sufficient to prove your contribution. Okay, so what you might no, you can go to the lab, but you can still do something. Okay, do the simulation work, publish.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. It
sometimes
depends
you just look up
on what stage that you are currently your PhD study
your
currently.
current state lah.
The stage. So I think for the level where you are currently
You
doing
have to
literature
go to
review, then
lab.
I think you don't need to go to the lab. Okay. But I think, and then if you are actually in the simulation state, just proving the theory, just proving the hypothesis, then you can do in
Yeah,
the
you can
room.
work
So there's no problem with
away
this
at
one.
home.
The problem is when you are actually in the third year where you are should be at the lab. That is maybe the problem lah.
Yeah, but sometimes you can you can discuss with your supervisor. Okay, let's say it seems like the pandemic is never ended, maybe will not be ended in in a very short time. Then you can discuss with your supervisor. Is it possible to to change the direction of your work? Okay, maybe just move it from lab works plus simulation. Is it possible to make it 100% simulation work? If
Yeah.
it is possible, then yeah, go to the simulation work.
For my student, currently he is actually currently going for hardware actually, just setting up a topology just to prove the simulation result. But suddenly COVID come in. So what I said to him is actually we just write another paper lah. That is the only thing that we can do.
Okay, but writing paper, of course, you need to do the simulation
Writing the
work.
paper or maybe do the analysis based on the simulations and so on. That I think that's all like we can do. And then what's next? When student identify area of strength and interest, but supervisor suggests another area, how can be managed? Or it is advisable to change supervisor or just go along with the advice of the
Okay, maybe
supervisor?
you can ask Mehran. Mehran is is one of our audience now, and he changed his supervisor from other lecturer to me. So basically, I am his main supervisor at the moment after he decided to change his supervisor. Not because of he cannot go along with the advice supervisor, because I think the strength and interest is, is different.
Yeah. So
It's
if the supervisor is actually strength is the simulation, but
yeah,
your expert is on the hardware, you want to go for hardware, so it's quite contradict. So he cannot help you. So
yeah,
that's why I think you need to change supervisor.
yeah. If you want to change supervisor, make sure you don't burn the bridge.
Don't burn the
Okay,
bridge.
don't burn the bridge. The best is you can
Don't
still,
blame.
yeah, don't blame your supervisor. Don't burn the bridge. Okay, you can
Just
still change
talk
at the
slowly.
same time. Is it possible? Ask your supervisor, your current supervisor. Is it possible to make him a second supervisor rather than completely disconnect with him or her?
Yeah.
Okay, please don't burn the bridge because it is not good for your future.
Yeah. First of all, maybe you need to discuss with your supervisor, stating what is the problem and so on. So if he said that he can manage your interests, meaning that it is okay for him, then you can go along with him. Or if said he cannot supervise you based on the title, then you can just saying that okay, just I think just give a slow talk with the supervisor. Then I think no problem. That's why we understand.
Okay, next question is journal or conference paper. What is the difference in terms of benefit to publish in both tracks? Okay, journal is the
Okay.
highest.
Yes.
Okay, but remember that there are also some scam journals. What do you call it, Tashawi?
Predatory
Predatory journals
journals.
is
But
like a scam lah. We can call that scam
I
journal.
think for engineering no problem.
Yeah.
For engineering journals there is no problem.
So
I think you have already know which journal is actually bogus journals and which journal is
yeah.
good.
But
Usually target for ITP transactions lah or Elsevier.
from my experience, I will suggest my student publish in conference, okay? Only, just like, simulation work and
Yeah.
hardware, okay? Because that's my area.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
my
in
area
power electronic
is,
area
yeah,
to publish in journals you need to have hardware
yeah.
results. Okay,
That's
that is the
from
problem.
our point
Uh,
of view lah.
Yeah.
So
So that's why
conference,
for conference paper we are usually this one is just for to actually to claim. This is
yeah, to
for
claim the
PhD for
idea.
to claim the idea.
Because
Sometimes
conference is a very short time. Okay, you
yeah,
can get the result in very short time. In
yeah.
journal, sometimes it takes not
Because
only
sometimes
it can take
if
years to
if
publish.
if the area is very hot, for example, the multi-level inverter right now is very hot topic. So everyone to claim every day there will be a new topology. So don't want to actually you want to claim that
You
topology
want
is
to claim your
you
contribution, then
yeah
you
is
can go for conference.
yeah go for conference first.
Yeah, but remember that for conference paper, do not reveal everything.
Yes,
My
yes,
suggestion
correct.
now, do not
Yes.
reveal everything. If you reveal everything,
Then you
then you
cannot
will not have
write.
any more to publish in your journal. You have nothing to write in your journal, right? So
Yeah,
just release one by one, just release the idea for the
yeah,
conference paper.
yeah.
Okay, and usually conference paper is not more than 5 pages, so it's very limited.
Mm.
But for journal, it can go 10
Okay.
or maybe 20 pages, depends on the journal.
So I think both conference papers and journals are both they have their own advantage. Conference usually to actually to take our idea into a publication as fast as possible, and journals is actually to support our idea. Okay, to support our idea and then for your PhD viva. And then next question was yes, what are the best way PhD journal during this
Pandemic
pandemic
lagi.
can enter UTM?
It's very,
We
very
call me
difficult question. In
uh,
fact, I also don't know how to answer this question. Not only you, because, okay, even your supervisor also
yeah,
be
we
lost.
are also the supervisor, so we also don't have any idea on how. So
So the
so
best way is, I think keep write papers or keep, read paper at the same time, write papers, do simulation, get
yeah,
something, get some idea, get some,
yeah. Write
proven
something. I think it's the
results.
best is actually to write
Yeah.
something.
And I'm sure that your supervisor will love to see some results.
Yes, correct.
Okay, not they don't want to see in my case I don't like to hear complaint from my students. So I like to see results. And
Yes.
of course, you cannot produce results, experimental results during this time. So at least you give some simulation results or maybe programming results. Okay, so that will be your supervisor will feel connected to you.
Okay, next question. Is selection of high-ranked university for PhD matters? I don't understand this. Is selection of high rank, meaning that you want to pursue PhD in high-ranking universities? If that the question, then yes, that is the most important thing.
In selection of high-ranked university for PhD matters. Okay, that's the question. So basically, rank of university is important if you want to get scholarship. Okay, if you want to get scholarship, the company or might be the government will look at the rank of your university. Okay.
Okay. I think that that is the most important part lah. So you need to get high rank university.
But remember that this PhD work is very, very focused. Okay, it's very focused. For example, they don't in my case, I got my PhD from Nottingham University. In terms of ranking, Nottingham University is not as good as UM. If not mistaken, during my time, his rank is about 70. Okay, so University Malaya is better than Nottingham. Okay,
in overall.
Overall lah, because the ranking of university is overall. But in terms of PhD,
The subject.
Subject that I want to study, okay, Nottingham is the best in UK. If not in the world, it is one of the best in UK. The best in UK and also one of the best in Europe during my time. Okay, so that's the reason I choose Nottingham. So is it important? Is it matters? Yes, of course it matters. If you want to get satisfaction and at the same time to get scholarship. Okay, I hope that's answering your question.
It's like you are comparing Oxford and UTM lah. So which one is better? You want to go enter UTM or Oxford? Right? So it does matter. Okay, wassalam.
I'm so sorry. Please, thanks so much, doctors, for the opportunity. My name is Isa.
Okay,
I think the point that the student raised actually affected me, my decision a couple of years back. I had a similar experience with what the students just asked as regards the use of university ranking to decide where you're going to do your PhD.
Yeah.
I think I want to believe that it depends on. I want to be in between, just like what Dr. Junaid and just Dr. Saeed have also said in the beginning. It happened to me because I did my master's in the UK. I already did some studies in the Netherlands, so I was thinking studying in Europe was the best experience for me. So for 4 years, I was looking for. I got admission in the UK. And but this fee was very, very high.
Yes, correct.
But it's true. In my time, it's about £10,000 per semester.
Even despite the fact that my government was ready to give me scholarship, I was getting admission in Malaysia, but I never bothered about Malaysia because of what the experience I've been thinking. Malaysia is a developing country. And I was comparing myself. How could I have studied in developed country now go back to do PhD in a developing country? Okay? I'm telling you, this is a very serious issue because it affected my career a lot. But when I review some of the scholars in Malaysian university, I discovered that majority of them did their PhD outside Malaysia, US, UK, Europe, Australia. So I keep on asking myself, I have to go to where they got the knowledge instead of getting the knowledge from them. But I was wrong for 4 years. Right now, I discovered that the best thing to have ever happened to me in my life is coming to Malaysia for my PhD. I never had any regret. Why I'm saying this? I think the most important thing, my own opinion, is the supervisor. My supervisor, most amazing human being in my life right now. In fact, I call him my daddy. I think that, honestly, because 4 years of
Isa, who is your supervisor?
I don't want to mention that.
Yeah, he's your daddy already.
Because the thing is, another thing I need to know, I got a PhD offer to University of Trinidad and Tobago, and they were asking me to come, and then I got a research assistantship job. But what I discovered, in fact, some of my colleagues were in where we work, some of them are studying PhD in the US, in the UK now, 60 million naira, very huge. But obtain, just like you said, I just got a clear picture of what I'm doing in Malaysia after 1 year of rigorous literature review. 1 year, just a couple of months back. And it has to do with my discussion with my supervisor. And the opportunity, lot of opportunity in online webinar, I've never missed any one of them. Most of these things are not available in some high rank university because they already made their name. So they don't care.
Yeah.
But most developing countries like Nigeria, like Malaysia, they want to be the niche. They're research intensive university. They have young scholars, young supervisors who are pushing to the next level.
Yes, correct.
How many lecturers in the UK or US will have time for you for webinar on how to develop research proposal? How many universities will have how to do Mendeley from the scratch in youth in Malaysia? They will teach you how to be a researcher. I think the choice of a university should be on one, your research interest, available supervisor, because your supervisor can mess up your life. Even if you're in a high-ranking university, I'm telling you, if you're in a high-ranking university, what's the point in being in a high-ranking university and just mess up your life? 8 years, 7 years, you could not finish anything.
Yes, correct.
That's correct. That's correct, Isa.
But usually,
if you want to
the
get
scholarship.
Scholarship. They look at the high rank. They're looking for the ranking of the university. So that's the reason why it is matters if you want to get scholarship. Okay. If you want to get satisfaction, yeah, I think what you are sharing with us is correct.
Because right now in Malaysia, for example, UTHM and UTM, so we have a plenty of Nigerian students come into UTM. So we also ask them. So is it UTM is your first choice? No, they said they is not the first choice. The first choice is UTHM. Why? Because UTHM provide a lower fees, but he came to UTM because their government, the scholarship from the government told them to actually enter the UTM. So it's actually the scholarship funder will go towards high ranking university. I agree with you because in high ranking university they got already their names. Okay, so they usually the student need to do the research from scratch. They didn't help to the student because they have already the name. So that is the problem with the high ranking university. I agree with you. No objection on that. But in terms of the scholarship, the provider usually look at the high-ranking universities.
Because what I'm saying is you can imagine if I had come to Malaysia 4 years ago, probably I would have finished my PhD, but I was bent on Western University, high-ranking, pride. But now I keep on telling everybody I have never regretted coming to Malaysia because they taught me how to be a researcher from the scratch.
Okay,
good. From the scratch. Thank you so much. So I think, like now, my most students, PhD, prospective PhD student, you need to listen to people from other universities to share that. You need to reach out to people, ask for guidance, communication. Just like Prof said, you need to share experience from people. Honestly, it's so wonderful. Yeah, from day one when you come to Malaysia, you have so many. Honestly, I keep on asking myself, do they have time to rest? You ask them to teach, to organize seminar for international students. You can join Iraqi international webinar. You can so many activities lined up even during COVID-19.
Yeah.
These are some of the things that you cannot get in the US. I was talking to a friend in the US, and for a whole year, the university was shut down, and he was telling me, "Congratulations, you are in Malaysia." Because practically a whole year in the US is just shut down. You cannot do anything. So I think advice from other scholars, PhD students, matters a lot in deciding where you need to go to,
Yeah.
and the supervisor, because the supervisor is your
Yeah.
God, is your everything.
Yeah. Everything is your supervisor actually. It depends on the supervisor. So the first thing that you
Thank you
need
very
to go is actually to find a good supervisor. That is the first thing. Okay, I agree with you. Okay, so we go for the next questions. As what you mentioned before regarding publish in good journals such as Q1, how helpful is during Viva session?
Depends on your what they call it, the examiners.
Yeah, depend on the
Yeah,
examiner.
because some examiners, they are very critical. And some examiners, then I hope it will not happen to you lah. Sometimes the examiner know nothing about your area. Okay, to be honest, I hope it will not happen to you. Okay, because it's happened to one of my friends. Okay, he published in transaction, activity transaction, two, if not mistaken, two papers, two Q1 activity transaction, but still got not
Correction.
yeah,
Major correction.
like major correction. It seemed like the examiners might be the wrong examiners lah. And when we talk about the wrong examiners, usually it's happened to external lah, not internal examiner, because internal usually they you keep in touch with your supervisor, but for external sometimes it is not their area. Okay, I hope it will not happen to you.
Yeah, so actually depends. It depends on
Depend
the
on your life.
depend on the examiner. For me, when I am becoming a external examiner, so sometimes what we do is actually we look. For me, I look for the publication first. So if the publication is somehow just a Scopus Q3 Scopus, because Scopus also get the ranking Q3 Q4, then for a PhD thesis Q3 Q4 Scopus only one publication, then may the thesis may be something wrong. So as a examiner, so I need to go through truly
You
read
check one by one.
check one by one.
Check every
Okay.
words that the students use.
Yes, because the
Yes,
publication is
process.
not publishable. So maybe
You can say
something.
that this is not reviewed by an expert. So that's the
Yes.
reason why
If you
we
can
need to
publish
be
in
very
Q1 or Q2, IEEE transaction, okay, not IEEE access, okay, IEEE transaction, then I think this thesis has some contribution. So I will go relax on the reading of the thesis. So that is my experience, okay. But sometimes it depends during the Viva. So from the reading and so on, and then we know, or maybe they after during the session, so we see there is some problems with the, maybe he just go through a very big problem. Then I think it will just justify the PhD lah. Okay. So and then what is our study is on experimental base. How can we validate our result in good enough or not?
So for my area, we need to compare with simulation results and then see the difference. Okay.
Yes.
The errors. So
That
from
is the
our
only way.
electronics point of view, but from your work, I don't know. Because certain area they just 100% on experimental base.
Experiment, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's why for that area you need to publish. You need to publish in a quite high ranking papers, high ranking journals. Then if accepted, then you are actually safe.
It's good enough lah. That means that your work is good enough.
Yes.
Okay.
So that is important of publication. And then doing PhD during this difficult time.
PDPR, alamak.
Doing
Well,
PhD during
it's happened not only to the students but also to the supervisor. Can you imagine that in my house there are 2 supervisors now. Okay. All right. So let's pray to Allah lah. Okay. Pray so that this pandemic will over.
Okay, and then how to keep motivated to finish PhD, especially when we facing failures. Mehran, your student, Dr. Junaidi.
Yeah, I know. How to keep motivated to finish PhD, especially when facing failures. What kind of failures?
Maybe rejection.
Depends on failures. What kind of failures? Is it because
maybe
of
the idea have been rejected during the proposal defense?
Because of your result is not as expected. So
maybe
yeah, usually during facing failures is normal. That's normal, facing failures. But failures is normal lah. But the most important is how you face.
How you face the problem, how you face the
Yeah, how
rejection.
Yeah.
So you need to.
If you ask me, okay, based on my experience, I also face a lot of failures. Okay, so you need to be positive. You need to be positive.
Yeah,
Okay, find out what actually is the reason why it is failed.
Yeah, keep improving lah. Tu je.
Okay.
That is the remedial.
Okay, be positive then. And at the same time, as a Muslim, of course, solat lah.
Yeah, doa. Yeah,
Okay,
doa.
doa and solat. Okay. Okay, after semester, we mutually decided and concluded that the work cannot be done with time frame and it is not practical. Alamak, ini. Semester, we mutually decided that and concluded that the work.
Yeah, maybe he have done something and then finally it cannot be done.
Wow.
Ah.
After 2 semesters means after 1 year lah, which is 1/3 of your study.
Yeah. So it's quite difficult, this one. I have actually experienced this with my students. So what we did is actually we put I put the student under ask him to go for not study leave, it's actually academic leave for one semester. For one semester. Okay, because to prolong the time, because for second semester, for the third semester, actually usually the student need to defend, right?
Yeah.
To defend.
Supposedly third semester you need to defend, but
to defend.
not necessarily. Maybe in the next semester it will become mandatory to present or to have your PhD proposal seminar in third semester.
Yeah.
Previously it is not mandatory. Okay.
So what I did is actually I asked the student to go for academic leave for one semester.
And then if it is not practical, then you need to find
Time frame lah. It's quite difficult
but
because you wasted
that,
2 semesters.
In PhD study, I still remember one of our students from my department, they received his PhD after 7 years. So you can imagine that lah. The maximum is 8 years. And now we receive it after 7 years plus. Almost reach the wall. Okay. So yeah. Sometimes PhD works.
This is a PhD. This is the journey.
It's a very long journey. So it's like we can say that PhD is like a marathon. Okay, so marathon means that some people can finish it. It might be in 3 years, or maybe in marathon maybe 2 hours. Okay, which is you can say that the star lah. Okay, finish in 2 hours, and sometimes they have to finish in maybe 6 hours or maybe 8 hours, which is the maximum time. So it is similar to PhD journey.
Okay. Actually, during my PhD, I'm actually doing fuzzy logic and the control for the inverters. And then actually after I have contribute, okay, I have actually a solid contribution. But the problem is actually how to get the stability theory. How to prove that my fuzzy logic is stable, which is not my interest. Okay, so how to prove the stability of the fuzzy logic system? So that is actually where I'm quite stuck. So I don't know where to go, whether I want to proceed with my fuzzy logic or I just want to go another way, because during my first month, so I actually doing parallel. I doing a fuzzy logic and also a sliding mode control. Okay, sliding mode control for just a backup, for maybe if fuzzy logic is stuck and so on. So at the end I stuck because I don't know how to prove the stability of the fuzzy logic, because I'm not a control theory person. So I'm stuck quite stuck there. And then what I do is actually I want to revert to the sliding mode, but sliding mode also stuck because I'm not interested in sliding mode actually. So I just pray and doa, and then just show me actually a request to the God to show me the way. Okay, that is the only way, because I quite stuck. Maybe around 2 or 3 weeks stuck there. So Just doa and pray, so that the God show the way. That is the only way for the Muslim. Okay.
Alright.
And then
Okay, the final one How to handle demotivated feelings.
4 times to submit journals. Okay, this one is quite interesting.
Yeah.
Based on my experience. Okay, so 4 times. I have been rejected 5 times. 5 times. The 6th time accepted.
Yeah.
Okay, it's actually depends on your luck. Depends on the editor. Because when you submit your journals, okay, your journal manager will give to an editor. Okay, so this editor is actually, we have a lot of editors there. So it depends on the editor that handle the manuscript. So some editor will give a review to other reviewers. So it depends on the luck actually.
I think Manjula, I think first when you want to submit to journal, yeah, Siti, one moment, Siti. Can you, if you have a question, just put in chat. Okay. All right, Manjula, if you fail a bit,
Oh, ni anak ni. How
Alright.
to
okay, please mute your
maybe the
speaker.
host can mute it.
Yeah, please host mute the speaker, please. Right. I think you should when you want to publish in journal, of course you aim high, right? So you should aim for Q1. Okay, if you've been rejected to and Q1, there are several journals. It might be the first is transaction, seconds might be Elsevier. Okay, for Q1, and Elsevier there's many, there are many journals which is also Q1. So my suggestion is you should aim for the highest first. Okay, if this get rejected, and go to the lower level, but make sure still Q1 lah. And then by doing that, okay, you will know that your work is worth for certain Q. Okay, not for the first, maybe Q1 is rejected. Okay, and then move to Q2, for example, or maybe
Yeah.
Q3.
Yeah.
You will not be rejected lah.
Yeah, but sometimes if you submit same paper under same journals, it actually depends on the luck, because the editor, it depends on the editor that handle the manuscript. Yeah, it's happened to me.
Yeah.
Okay, I think there is no question anymore.
There's no more question and the last one is dissertation. For me, in my case, dissertation or thesis is I would say that the most torture part from my PhD work. Okay, dissertation or PhD, the thesis. So you need to be very, very, disciplined in writing.
Sometimes the writing takes longer time than doing experiment.
Sometimes, yeah, it takes longer than the experiment work. Because what I did in my master's by research, I got my, everything. I finished everything in 8 months. Master's by research. 8 months now, everything's, including the results and analysis. But the writings took me about 1 year and a half. No, 1 year and a half, about 1 year and 2 months. So I, graduated still on time, which is 2 years. But you can see that the process of,
The portion, the percentage.
Yeah. Because I'm not a good writer during my master's level. Okay. Okay. Do you
Okay, UTM thesis template. Do you advise for latex or latex?
Okay, now which
Yeah, one question.
What is it?
UTM thesis template. Do you advise for latex or I don't know.
Okay, Dr. Shavin, you should answer this question. I don't know.
Okay, I'm just doing in words. That's all.
I also don't know how to use latex or latex.
Latex or lex, I don't know.
Doing using Microsoft Word is very troublesome, but yeah, I cannot advise on that because during my time we don't have latex or lex.
Latex ada masa tu, tapi quite is actually we are not very familiar with latex.
Yeah.
But latex is much better compared to words. But
if you want to know about latex, I think you should ask Dr. Nazim Mason. It is
Yes.
expert.
Yeah. Maybe we can ask Dr. Nazir Masono to get
I think yes, there's a session
workshop.
for it, right?
Uh,
Yeah, workshop on latex. I think yeah, we have a special session for latex. Okay, next on the Viva, I think this is the final one. Viva, the final. Okay,
maybe the host can you mute the participant?
okay. The Viva, so which is the written exam of PhD thesis. Okay, so I just combine
Okay.
all these under the Viva. So you have exam of PhD proposal defense. Hariza ni siapa ni? I cannot lock it.
Yeah, only the host
Only the host can lock it.
can mute.
Okay, anyway, we almost reached the final stage of the slide. Okay.
Oh, the Viva.
The written exam of PhD thesis, and then the oral exam, which is also PhD proposal defense, and the Viva itself, okay, which is the final verdict. You can say that's final verdict lah, your Viva. So, what happened if you fail, and how to prepare for the Viva?
Okay.
Okay. So, for the Viva, in UTM, okay, in UTM we have A, which is correction of, okay, and then B, B,
Yeah.
is pass with correction, minor correction. Okay.
B1.
B1, and then
A is full. B1 minor correction. I think 3 months got.
yeah,
3 months, and then B2
B2,
6
months,
6 months, and so
also
on.
minor correction, consider as minor correction lah. But you can say that if you receive A or B, A, B1, B2, you can say that your PhD is in your hand lah. It's just a matter of whether you do the correction or not. Okay, but let's say the Viva, result for your Viva is C. Okay, so if you receive C, that means you C1 or C2. For C1, you have 6 months without Viva, or if you receive C2, then it is 1 year. Okay, 1 year correction, and you need to do the reviva. Okay. And in UTM, it is very, very difficult to get D, especially for SKE. Okay, it's very difficult to get, but it is also possible if, okay, if you are doing plagiarism. Okay, if the examiner found out that doing plagiarisms, or might be your theory is wrong, totally wrong. It's happened, but it is very, very difficult to receive fail in your PhD.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
How to prepare for it? So it depends lah. In my case, I prepare a lot for my Viva because I need to rerun my experiment. But
for Malaysia UTM there is no demo, so you are quite safe.
yeah, no demo then.
In UTM.
But make sure do not do any plagiarism. Plagiarism means it's not just what they call it. Plagiarism means you take someone's results and claim that as your results. So that's what I mean with plagiarism. If you're talking about turn it in is just it's just a matter of
tools.
It's a tool.
It's a tools. The dictation is actually depends on the admin lah.
So yeah, it depends on the admin. At the same time, yeah, UTM stated that it should be 70% for each chapter. So why
7%. How
can rephrase it? Okay, rephrase your words. Okay, so that's how you can reduce your similarity. Turn-in similarity lah. Okay. All right.
Okay. how to get to have a best awards PhD students?
Okay, best award PhD students. The more Q1 paper, the more Q1 journal you
What
receive,
is the more?
okay, the better
The more is
chance for you to get the best PhD students. That's what applied
What?
to
the more
UTM lah.
is.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I think should be a GOT, graduate on time.
Yeah. In
Mm.
UTM it should be GOT,
ABC.
more
3 years.
Q1, and then if possible you need to involve with PGSS as well.
Yeah,
There's a higher
actively
chance
involved.
to involve with PGSS. When you become, committee of PGSS committee, then you can
One.
also get
One.
PhD students best award.
Like that.
Okay.
Okay, there is a one question, Dr. Junaidi. How the term innovation can be defined for PhD proposal?
Mana ni soalan ni? Where is it?
The last one.
The last one. What about the best one? How the term innovation can be defined for PhD proposal? Okay, PhD work doesn't mean that you need to do innovation.
Mana soalan ni?
Okay, innovation is for it's not for
Mana
PhD.
soalan
Yeah.
ni?
Okay, innovation is you can say that innovation is
Answer
when you
ni,
want to design something and want to sell the product.
Nak
So
kata
that
ni.
is
Oh.
innovations come in lah.
Ah.
Okay. So for PhD proposal, you don't need to do innovation.
Junaidi.
Yeah.
Junaidi.
Okay. What you need to do is you need to find the contribution.
Junaidi.
All right.
Junaidi. Junaidi.
What
We
do you
have
mean?
thought there should be some connection, some
What is on location? Tak boleh telefon pula.
mungkin some innovation in the PhD proposal.
Oh,
I don't
innovation.
have I don't have any idea what the
I'm not sure in which area are you working?
Ha?
Habis Said.
Tak, kau dah bagi kat ustaz ke?
there's a lot of disturbance here.
Hazliza, please switch off your speaker.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah, Abid, yes.
Yeah, I'm asking about the innovation in the PhD proposal. Most of our friends who are seniors to us in the department of in the School of Computing, they are telling us that there should be some innovation
Tak ke?
in your PhD work. If there is no innovation, no contribution, then this is not called a PhD.
Okay. So
So what is innovation? Innovation means something new in your research, completely new, that is not even somebody done in the past.
I think innovation is not new. Innovation is actually how you actually
modify.
modify something.
You modify something. I think that's the word. That's supposed to be the words.
Because you are from
Innovation.
computer background, from the computer study. I think
Yeah.
innovation meaning that the algorithm, meaning that
Maybe
the
faster
modification,
algorithm.
something like
Yeah.
that. It actually
Maybe
depends
a more
on the
efficient
depend on the
result.
on the your area.
Enam je kau
depends on
dapat
your
dan.
area.
For our power electronics, so there is no term of innovation.
So
So
we
meaning
use
that
the contribution.
meaning that if you
I think
have
the word contribution is more general. Can
Yeah.
be applied for all fields.
so
We
for
never use the
example,
word innovation.
if you have algorithm and then I apply it into FPGA, so that one we call innovation. But for power electronic, that is not innovation.
Thank you. One question, last question I'm asking.
Orang semua
Suppose
dapat tiga.
you have already two algorithms are developed by someone. For example, one developed by you and one developed by Professor Junaidi. And I'm going to
Ramai yang dapat
make a
15.
hybrid of these two algorithms and make a
Okay.
new algorithm. Then
Yeah.
this can be applied. This can be used for my
Yes.
contribution in the research work.
Yes, can. You combine. Why you combine? So you need to have some what you call backup. Why the combination is needed? So by the combination, so
Hybrid lah.
the faster calculation can be obtained, or maybe some of the parameters can be reduced.
or better results, more
better
accurate,
results, more
more
accuracy.
efficient.
So you need to back up from your contribution. So people usually panel will actually look at why you proceed with this combination. Okay.
Is
I
it
want
because
to-
because of you want to get a PhD only without realizing? Yeah,
just combine it. That is not. You need some backup. We need to
Yeah.
have some reason.
not because
That is-
I want to do PhD. I want to get PhD. I'm sure that by combining these two methods,
I can get
I will
PhD.
get my PhD. No, that's not the answer lah. You have to ensure that your work, the combinations, works better in terms of maybe on efficiency, maybe on the accuracy, maybe on the faster response. Okay, Abid? Not just simply
Thank you.
combine two.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum
Dr.
salam.
Junaid,
Okay.
can I just comment into that from some of the things that we've learned from UTA? That's why I'm highly rating Malaysian University. I think the word innovation is a very relative term. It depends. It can be in different kind of contexts. For example, if you're in electrical engineering and you are combining algorithm written by Dr. Junaid and another one written by the wonderful host together in the same field, it might not be counted as a kind of innovation. But if you are extending the boundary of knowledge in another field using those algorithms, in particular, you are extending those knowledge in another area, it can be referred to as a kind of contextual innovation. So, there's not like just like what my supervisor told me. There's nothing new in science. You cannot reinvent the wheel, but you can improve on existing methodology. Then when you improve on existing methodology, you now look at the little gap, the little contribution. In which area do you think this will serve? So that's just my own learning from what we've learned. That's what I'm saying. From other universities in the world might not teach you some of those things, and you have to rely on yourself. But the university system in Malaysia, with the crop of young, dynamic scholars they have, I think it's been an amazing experience for me so far. That's just what I learned so far. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you, Isa, for your comments. Okay, I think we have apa lagi ni?
It is sufficient for Viva if I already published.
This one
one.
you need to ask your supervisor. I cannot give you,
Yeah.
a
If
verdict whether
the
it is
supervisor
sufficient.
said you are ready for Viva, then okay.
If I am your supervisor, I think it look like sufficient in my point of view lah. But you need to ask your supervisor, because some supervisor they believe that your work might be, you can publish more. Okay.
Still okay, but the final objective of the research work still not submit to an okay. So I think it depends on your supervisor. It depends on the supervisor. So if the supervisor said it's ready, you can submit for thesis, then okay, just submit the thesis. If your supervisor can say that you cannot submit because of you had it, then you just obey your supervisor.
Sometimes you need to be careful when you publish your paper, and make sure you are the first author. Okay, students author. Do not. Okay, make sure you are the first author, not second author, or you just
Yeah. You need to be the first author.
Yeah. Make sure it is your work, not your friend's work.
And then you claim it as your
You
work,
cannot claim
then.
that as
And
your
then
work.
you put it inside your thesis as your research publication. No, that cannot be
Because
counted.
your examiner, not only the examiner will find out. Okay, they will see the paper and found out that it is not related to your thesis, then that cannot be considered as your work. Okay.
What
And
are the
remember,
expectation?
for this paper, journal apa ni? What do you call it, Dr. Shavin?
Q1, PSS,
Not the PSS. The
predatory.
what do you call it? Like journal in review paper. Yeah.
Oh, review,
So review paper is not considered as
contribution. Is it? Mute. So Dr. Janadi, you need to unmute. Dr. Janadi, unmute.
okay.
Okay.
So it is not considered as what they call it, contribution,
Yeah.
for review paper. You need to be careful on that. Okay.
Okay.
So I always told my students, do not-
Review paper is
do
not a contribution
spend your
paper.
time on review paper, because it will not give any advantage to you. It will give advantage to me only
Yeah.
as a supervisor, as a
Supervisor.
lecturer. It is good paper from lecturer point of view, but not for students, because
Okay.
it is not your contribution. Basically, you just rewrite other papers, okay, and make a review. So it is not considered as contribution. Okay.
Okay, what are the expectation of panel members in proposal defense? So the expectation of panel members. So we expect that the student is able to carry out the PhD.
PhD work.
That is our expectation. So we actually look at the scope of work of the students, whether the student is capable to do that, and then whether the student is the objective is clear. That is actually the expectation from the panel. Because we don't want the students to actually fail during their viva. So waste of time, 3 years. So we want to make sure that the student is actually at the right track. So there will be no fail during the final viva.
Okay,
Okay.
so it's informed that you have 5 minutes left for the Q&A session. I think this is already Q&A session. Can be considered as Q&A session. All right. So what else? How long the panels take time to finish the PhD comments and assign the viva date? So this one is depends on the examiner's availability, because sometimes if your supervisor pick a very famous professor in that area, sometimes it will drag the time. Okay,
Yeah.
because
Actually, for SPS, there is a time frame. So usually 3 months.
3 months for internal.
Uh,
For internal only, but for external, it depends.
it depends on the external, but usually 3 months. We are required the external and also the internal is required to have submit their comments during 3 months.
Maximum 3 months.
3 months.
Say that, maximum 3 months. But for external, like I said before, depends on their availability. Because some of these professors, sometimes they receive about a bundle of theses. You see 4 or 5 PhD theses at one time. So if it's happened to me, then I also don't know how to handle it. Okay. So there's no, there's no definite time for the, to submit the comment for the external. For the internal, it should be less than 3 months.
Okay.
Banyaknya soalan.
Dah. Dah. Complete. Any more questions?
All right. Any more questions?
Thanks a lot for all reply and clarification. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Ahmed Sameh.
So thank you, Dr. Muhammad Junaidi and Dr. Sharin for their insightful sharing. Now, all the participants, please kindly turn your video on. We will have a photo session with our speakers.
Wah, Simman, you are using my photo as your background. that is my photo used by UTM.
Okay, everyone smile. 1, 2, 3, smile.
I can see my student inside also. Saifullah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you once again to Dr. Muhammad Junaidi and Dr. Sharin. And we have come to the end of the workshop. Doctor, you may leave if you have something else to do. To the participants, please fill the feedback form, and as we will issue you the e-certificate and academic merit after you fill the feedback form. within 2 weeks after this workshop. I will share the screen for the QR code.
Okay, thank you very much for all of you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Dr. Junaidi and Dr. Shireen. We will contact you after this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you all see my screen? Is it okay now? Thank you to all the participants. We will have our next workshop in June, which will be conducted by Dr. Tawa, a famous proofreader by UK PhD, in the end of June, scheduled on 30th June. Yeah. So please stay tuned and like our Facebook and join our Instagram channel. That's all for today. Thank you very much.